Howdy folks, got a new camcorder here. We're going to check out and see how this thing works. This is a Canon, what is this thing? Vixia HF R800 HD. So anyway, I've been working on the bike some, and I've been slowly sanding the frame down and getting that cleaned up. Kind of did some test paint on this rear wing here, which I'm going to have to touch up because I was scuffing things up. Put some paint on the rear end here. I have to check that again, see how that looks. But I've just been sanding, scrubbed it down, was sanding with some Dawn soap water, 220, and I sprayed it off last night. So of course I'll probably want to wipe it down again before I do a final wiping with alcohol. But it's coming along. Kind of a pain in the ass taking all this stuff off. I still haven't taken the engine out. I'm going to try to paint what I can with the engine in the bike, which should be most of it. Got the wheel off, and this was a pain, but need to, and I did order some parts yesterday. If you look at the sprocket there, you can kind of see it's not completely rounded off, but it's not too flat on the top either. So I've ordered a new rear sprocket for it, and figure what the hell, I'll order a new chain. But other than that, it's coming along. I did do some test buffing on the chrome here. This part here I did, this part here I didn't. I need to get some 000 instead of 40. And of course the front end will be last, so I can take the forks off. I got fork seals coming and get all that stuff done. I've just been working on cleaning some of this stuff up so I can get it primed and ready to paint. So, but anyway, I just want to check out this new camera and see how it's working. So more to come. Alright guys, I've been working on this Suzuki, and I just knocked the carb off the bottom of the bowl, and as you can see here, that is pretty cruddy in there. And there goes the floats. Okay, the floats just sit down in here, kind of like that. Or was it like that? They sit in there like that. I have never seen this design. Not that I'm a motorcycle genius by any stretch, but you can see, I'm surprised the thing actually even ran, but it's pretty dirty down the side there. Now, what I wanted to show before I proceeded any further with this is, here's the inside of the carb. And I don't know if you can see in this picture here, I'm trying to get a good angle of it. Watch. I don't know if it caught that, all that dust and powder and whatnot coming out of there. So here is the needle, which is in there, not too bad. Let me see if I can find my little tool to prop it out. So pull that out, and that goes with the tang. Fat tang goes to the right, skinny tang goes to the left. Pull the needle out, and I have no idea how this thing comes out of here. So if we're looking at the, I know this is the choke. Gasket. That's all in one piece. Good, because I don't have a rebuild kit for this thing yet. I thought I'd just take it out. Here's your idle adjustment. So take that out. a little corroded, not too horribly bad. And then this down here should be the air-fuel mixture, so let's see here. One. It was in one turn, basically. And this thing fired right up. Yeah, it was dirty, but not horrible. I'm going to leave that down in there. And this primary jet, I can't even see. Man, is there something down in there? If there is, it's freaking tiny. Let me get a smaller screwdriver. And let me grab a pair of pliers. Alright, let's see if this will even fit down in here. Doesn't feel like it's wanting to turn. So I think I'm going to put this in the vibrator, the ultrasonic, and see if I can get that to come loose. Okay, this does just screw out of here. Primary jet. So we got a tiny little washer there, and then the jet itself. And I see nothing else in there. Okay, the choke. I'm debating what I want to do with that. Do I want to take it out, or just let it soak with it? I think I'm just going to let it soak. The choke seemed to be working fine, but off, on, off, on. Let's see here. Alright, so that's the carb. And it don't look too, I mean, it's just dirty. It doesn't look really bad. Wouldn't say it feels exactly smooth inside the slide, but like I said, I'll throw it in the ultrasonic and clean it up. And that pilot jet is down in there, and it's hard to see. But I'm going to let it soak, and then I might just go ahead and see if it'll screw out. So I will be back before you guys know it in no time. So clean this up and see how it looks. So talk to you here in a bit. Okay guys, got some stuff out of the parts cleaner. We have one cleaned up carb. It's pretty clean. Let me grab a brass brush. I'm back. Got the brass brush. Well, none of my brushes are in great shape, but just kind of clean this off a little bit. That's just where the gasket sits. Well, that thing turned out pretty clean. Of course, I could just... This is the choke lever. And all it says is choke. Genius! Yeah, I don't know if you can see that now. It says choke. Alright, so that's working pretty good. It sticks. So let's go back down to this pilot screw. I don't see that thing coming out. What the? Never have anything on my desk here. Let me get my flashlight. Harbor Freight freebie. Gotta love it. Let's see if I can see down in this hole here. Man, it looks like there's a screw in there, but I'm not feeling it. So let me grab, that looks to be about a 10 mil. Let me grab that. Because I'm so prepared in my videos, unlike other videos of people I watch. Let's see if this comes out. Man, should have done it to begin with. Not that I thought it was clogged anyway. And no, it's... I can blow clean through it, so... What I'm going to do is I'm going to step away from the camera here for a second. I'm going to take my air hose and kind of blow through some of these passages. So, be right back. You can hear the air hose over here. Guess I could have bored you folks and brought the air hose over here, but I did not. So this thing looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, my fat fingers here. Let me try. This thing is kind of, get it sit in here so I can get my socket on it. Okay, got that in. Okay, what else we got here? We got the bottom. As you can see here, it looks pretty clean. I do have the gasket. Bring my stuff out of here. We had a gasket here. And let's see if I can remember how this thing goes. It must go like that because it goes right over this. Whatever tube that is. Okay, we've got the drain screw, which that come out pretty clean. And I just used a screwdriver to take that out. I didn't even put anything in it. So we'll put that back in. Tighten that down. Okay, we got the floats. We got the... Okay, now let me just dump this out here. So we got the float screw, we got the idle screw. We got the air fuel screw. We have a washer that I do not remember what it goes to. We have the needle seat. We have the bottom screws for the tank. And I wonder if that this is why I don't record a lot of stuff I do, because half the time I forget what I do. But that's washer may have went on here. Let's see here. No, that definitely does not fit. So put that back on, tighten it down, and for the life of me, I don't know where this washer came from. It may have been in a basket from something else. No. That, I believe, went on to the main jet, which there is no markings on it that I could see. Let me get the old reading glasses for these old eyes and put a light on this thing. I mean, it looks like there may be a rubber seal on this of sorts, but I don't think if there's a number on here, I cannot read it. There's something stamped in it. That seal does not look the greatest. I may have to end up having to get a car rebuild kit for this to get another one of these. I don't know if you're seeing this in this picture here. There's a tiny little rubber washer on here, and it is not in good shape. But we're going to roll with it. I think I just used a pair of pliers to put that on. Try to snug that up. Okay, so we've got that back in. We've got that in. That there is still the pilot jet, which I did not get out. I took out the float seat. I was getting all excited here for a minute. This thing does not want to turn out, so you know what? I'm really pushing on that. It ain't budging, so yeah, you know what? Don't fix what ain't broke, right? So I think I said in my other video that the fat side went to the right, so we'll put the fat side to the right. Gotta love my high-tech terminology for stuff. Okay, now I don't remember, because these things were kind of stuck down in here, and yes, they do float. So that is a good sign. There's no holes in them. They are plastic. They're not. You know, they just looks like they just sit right on top of that. They don't actually, like a lot of floats, you know, you have it rides on a little like kind of shim kind of thing. So let's see here. Okay, so I'm able to blow in it no matter what. So let's think about this here for a second. That goes down, and if I blow in it, I get trying to figure out where that air is coming from. pretty high tech, man. Oh, jeez. I'm about retarded. Let's put the needle back in. Where's my little metal hoop? Yeah, I know, Chuck. I hear you. What did I do with that? Looking for the little. Oh, here it is. Put it back on my rack. Let's drop our pin back out. Kind of forgot the needle, guys. So let's put the needle back in. Let's put this back in. I don't know if you guys can hear Chuck the dog over here. He's talking to me about something. He's probably wanting more bacon strips. Okay, so we've got, let's try this again. These, looks like they just ride right. The floats look like they ride right on top of this metal piece right here. Part of the float assembly. So let's see here. So if we're down, I cannot blow. I can't really tell if it's blowing. Doesn't seem to blow either way. So with that said, let's try taking these out. And I wonder if they go the other way. I did not pay attention. My bad. When I did these. And maybe they do. Maybe they sit down that way. So I'm blowing that way. Okay. So let's take this back out here. So it looks like the pins go down towards the bottom. And I'll have to kind of go through this video and see, because I did not pay attention when I took the lower bowl off, because I wasn't expecting this type of float setup. But it's all back in here. Got the main jet in. So we'll put this back on here. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. And we will screw this back in place. Handy dandy JIS screwdriver. I will not make this tight yet. I will just kind of get in place to hold the bowl on while I throw everything around here. Screw. Put all four back in. Of course, the big surprise will be when I actually plug this back up and see if it actually works. Okay, I've got them all started, so I think it's safe to tighten them down. You know, Chuck has a dog door, which, let's see here, if you can even see the dog door. Maybe I'm in the way of the dog door. There it is, right behind me there. Right there is the dog door. He'll go out the dog door and then comes around to the other side door and scratches, come back in. Yet watch, here he comes. Let's see here. Oh, he done came back through. I think he does it to test me. To see if I will just get up and go let him in. Which, as you can see, I did not get up and let him in. Okay, so the bottom is on. And now we can put the idle screw back in. Maybe. Is that the right hole? No, wrong hole. Actually, yes, that is the right one right there. I did not count the number of turns for the idle. So that's a half. And that's 1. And that's a half. I'm going to leave that out in half, 1.5. But on the air fuel, we checked that, and that was in basically 1 turn. So I'll set that in. And it's just snug, not tight. So we'll go a half. We'll go 1. And I'm just going to go a smidge more. Okay, so we know the choke is working. See that working up and down? Turn my cheapo Harbor Freight light off. And the washer's here. I've got the idle adjustment screw back in, the air fuel mixer screw back in. The float is back in. And it's not blowing that way. I don't know. I'm going to have to check that. But worst case, I just pop the bowl back off. If the floats are in the wrong direction, then I'll just flip them around the other way. But the carb is clean and it is ready to go. So I will continue on with this. Once I get a chance to, I'm still waiting on the, what am I waiting on? Oh, I'm waiting on the rear bearings for the back wheel. So I've got a sprocket already, and I actually ordered a tool because to pop the bearing out, because I've watched a bunch of videos on how to replace the bearings, and normally I just take a screwdriver and pop it out, but I can't get the inner seal that goes in between the 2 bearings to the side enough to get a screwdriver or anything else in there to grab enough of it to pop it out. So I ordered yet another tool so I can take that out, and then I will get the back wheel done. And I did order a back tire and a front tire. The front tire is in decent shape still. I mean, they are a bit dry rotted. I mean, it is 1974, but I went ahead and ordered a back wheel and a front wheel, both, and I will update that later on. I've got parts back in the bike. I've still got to finish painting the inner back fender and put the kickstand back on, which I've done got it painted. So I've got to get that done. Then I got to take the rear brake hub off and clean that piece up. And I do have new brakes for the back and the front. Get those put on and start getting things back together. And then I'll set the tank aside and put that on the table, because I'm not going to repaint that or the oil tank, which let me get that. Got that done. I can show that. Okay, here is the oil tank. As you can see, it says TC 185. This is the part here that I was going to try to fix, but I can't get the paint code or this type of paint, so I'm just going to leave it like it is. But I took the backside off, took the whole thing out, and down here where my finger is, all this area here, this was filled solid with grease, dirt, and whatever have you. So I took all this stuff out, cleaned it all up, repainted the bracket here. I am waiting for, there is a strap that goes, you can't really see it, but it goes in behind here and this plastic tube, and it kind of holds it in place. I've got that coming. That was like $5 on eBay. So as soon as I get that, then I'll be able to put this back together and attach this, reattach this to the bike. Got it all cleaned up. So all I really got to do now is, I could just, before I do that, go ahead and wash it and then go ahead and buff it out and clean it up as best I can. Like I said, I can't fix this right here, and I'm not worried about these scuffs. I do want it to look patinaed and kind of original, but you will be able to see the oil sight here. That thing has been cleaned up, so I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. But anyway, then I got the tank, the gas tank, which is in the same shape as this, not too bad a shape, and I will get that buffed out and cleaned up. I'm not going to worry about painting it. I do have the seat cover, which I'll do in another video. I'm going to put a new seat cover on it. I have that, and I got a new fender. Let me grab that. I'll show that. Alright, back again. Let's see here. Let's move this back a bit. Here's the new fender. As you can see, we have a bunch of pitting down here on the sides and the lower part. I have sanded this. The pits are pretty good, but it is, like I said, a 1974. I've debated whether or not I even want to paint. Maybe paint black the inside, underneath the side of this rim, or sorry, fender. But it is what it is. This is from a TC 125, which takes the same rear bumper or fender, and it fits perfect. So I'm going to go with it, and it'll actually kind of match. I mean, I know the frame's going to look kind of new because I just repainted it, but it'll still kind of match the patina of the front fender and the gas tank and the side tank and the handlebars and stuff. So anyway, that's where we are with that, and I will get this carb mounted back on. Gotta get the air filter box back on, and what else? Well, I guess I could run my test tank up to it to make sure this carb even works. But it worked before, so it should work again. The only question is do I have these floats in the right position? So anyway, stay tuned. I will be back with an update. Well, howdy folks. Another day, a little more progress. Okay, I know I was talking about the carb yesterday. Here I've got a lot of the frame done, minus the front. Got everything all taped off. Worked out pretty good instead of yanking the engine out. Still got to clean my nasty looking horn up. But that's on my to-do list. But so far so good. I got this part here, what the heck is this part here? Well, let me think about the name of that. A voltage regulator. Got that cleaning, soaking with some degreaser. And then I just coated these parts with some primer. This is a skid plate. That's the side of the air filter cover. So, got the carb back in. Little trick, little tip for you guys. You ever mess with these old stuff here? This thing here was pretty hard. Just take a heat gun or a hair dryer and heat it up for a little bit. It makes it pretty soft and pliable. Makes it easier to come off. I wouldn't say this thing's exactly easy to get in there, but the carb's in place. Then we got this is the air filter box right here. I do have a new air filter. I'm gonna put that in here shortly. This is the battery box, and then the oil box will sit over here on this side. The oil filler for the two-stroke oil. So the frame is pretty done. The only thing I got left to do now is from the neck forward. So I've got this part here done. So once I'm done with the back here, then I'll go ahead and take this stuff off. Headlight bezel, bucket. Clean this up, clean the turn signals up. I got to take a look at this one here. This one's not wanting to work and blink. So I think it's just a wire. And then I'll take the forks off. I did order new tires, so I've got those coming. I'll clean these parts up, and you can see down in there we got some oil dripping down, so that's why I went ahead and ordered the fork seals. You know, we got a little bit on here, so hey, if you're gonna do it right. So, but like I said, I gotta go around taking my tape off all of my little pieces here, and then I'll clean up all those. I still got to do the brakes. I'm gonna disconnect that here shortly. And I'll probably hit that with the buffing wheel, kind of clean that up a little bit. But I got the pegs back on. They're working. I just got the kickstand on. Still got to take my tape off the pads here. And then once I lift it off, I got to put the screws up underneath. But it's turning out pretty good. Pretty happy with it. Taped off everything. May clean these again here. This is still kind of dirty. You know, the tank sits on it, you'll never see it anyway. And then I'll have to deal with the front forks. And I'll put some, this stuff is still good. It's just covering on it. But I'll use my wire loom tape and I'll tape that up and it'll look pretty good. And I'll hit this again with a wire brush. I did this part already, so I still got to finish that part. Let's see, where else? What else? We got the back lower part of the fender. I got to put another coat of paint on that. And then over here, I've got the wheel out and I'm waiting on the bearings, and I'm waiting on a bearing tool because I don't know if you can see down inside there, but the little collar that sits down there, I can't get it to move over enough to get an edge onto something to knock that out, so I ordered a bearing puller. And that's pretty much where we are at the moment. Like I said, it's coming right along. My pile of stuff over here, that's the tank. I already got the chain guard, cleaned that up as best I could. You know, it's not perfect. I may go over it again with some other finer steel wool, maybe try to get some of the scratches out. This is the part you see. It sits down like this, and then this is the didn't even really get that part too well, but this is the back side of it, so you'll see it from the right side of the bike. And then here is, that's the fender it came with, and then this is the replacement fender. It ain't perfect, far from perfect, got a bunch of stuff in it, but it looks pretty good and I'm happy with that. I still got to deal with the shocks. That's on my to-do list. And then I will take the cover off of the exhaust, clean that up, and then I wanted to paint the exhaust black with the exhaust paint. And then what do we got here? Got a new chain, got Flex Seal, which is good for all kinds of plumbing stuff, not related to this bike. And then we've got the rear light here, which I'll just clean that up as best I can. So I'm not going for a brand new look. The tank, as you can see, is in pretty good shape. You know, a lot of this stuff I'll be able to buff out of it. I'll wash it up really good and hit it with all my buffing stuff, and that'll clean up pretty good. Then we got the seat here, which I do have a brand new seat cover, so that'll come on, go on. And I'll clean the bottom of that up, probably hit that with some black paint, clean that up so it looks nice and new-ish. And that's where we are at the moment. So just thought I'd update some progress here. Like I said, I got some primer on some stuff. I'll let it dry, and then I'm gonna hit it with some black, and then I can get the air filter in. And I'm working towards from the neck back, getting all this stuff done. So my tire should be here next week. The tool should be here hopefully next week. Get the back tire wrapped up. The chain is here, the sprocket's here, so should be able to finish all this up. Then I'll get the rear fender mounted back up and inside, and then I got to look at this wiring here because somebody had cut these here. The black and the white are for the rear turn signals. And then obviously I got a little bit of overspray on some of this stuff. I'll hit it with some lacquer thinner, clean all that up. Can't be having that showing. So I those are the seat mounts. Got to hit that one with some lacquer thinner, and that's pretty much it. So that's all we got for now at the moment. So stay tuned. Be back here in a little bit. Well, howdy folks. Back again, working on the seat. Okay, what I've done is I've got this is obviously the seat pan, and I've been sanding up a 220. I gotta finish trying to tuck these little this little stuff down, but we'll clean it up, wash it off, let it dry, and then I'll tape off my all these little rubber plugs. There's two there, there's 2 here, there's 2 little ones right here, and then 2 spacers in the back. Then I'll tape off my nuts. All the 3 nuts here, these are for the brackets that hold the seat on right there. And then these 2 are for the strap that goes on around the seat. Okay, so obviously this thing is pretty old, 1974. I'm missing a chunk of foam right there, and that's kind of hard. Not too bad. I mean, the foam is still pretty soft, but I'm missing a tiny piece there. So what I'm going to try is I have some foam here, and it's not quite as thick as the stuff on the top. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a piece out and glue it into here to fill that in, and then I may, you know, like cut this piece out. I don't think it's going to show through the it looks like this has got writing on it, so at some point somebody had scabbed in something right through here. You can tell it's definitely different. It looks like it's been kind of melted a little bit too. So, and then this piece here isn't too bad. So I'm going to try that, and like I said, I'm going to clean it up first and hit it with some primer just to fill in all this rusty stuff, which I did sand. I just got to clean it off. And I still got to hit up around here with a wire brush and get all this loose stuff. Just got to be careful with those things. They like to cut the crap out of you. So, and missed this spot right there. And some of this stuff's kind of hard to get. I don't even know if I can get. I don't know if I can get the wire brush down in there. Let's see here. Yeah, it's not too bad. And that part I can get. Sorry, I'm holding the camera with one hand. I'm trying to do this with the other. Need to get me some more of that paint that turns rust into paint. Forget what it's called. I've had some before, but I ran out and never. It's on my list of things to get, and I keep forgetting to get it. So anyway. That's what I am with this right now. So I'm going to get it cleaned up, and I'm going to cut a piece of this foam into there and see if it lines up okay, and then I'll be back. Alright, back again. Got the base pan taped off, scrubbed that off, washed it off, taped off all my rubber pieces here, taped all these things off, screw heads. And shot out with its first coat of primer. Primer coated actually pretty well, so I don't think I'm going to have to put another coat on it. So that's looking good. While I was waiting for that, I decided to tackle the exhaust. So I've got that out, and it was wire wheeled it, and then I took degreaser and sprayed degreaser all around it. But it looks like I'm still got a little bit of. I'll hit that with something, because that's hit PV blast over there, so that's not come off. So I need to focus on that. I'll go around these bolt holes and get those really good. I'll take some acetone to them. That'll get anything off of it. But that's pretty much clean. I've just been letting it dry. I've got some exhaust primer I'll put on it, hang it up, paint it, and then let that dry, and then I'll hit it with the VHT flame-proof primer for or flame-proof paint, black. And that part will be done. So yeah, good thing I come over and looked at that. And here is the shield. This ought to clean up really good. And I'm going to attempt to paint this whole thing black and then sand off just the letters, because that's how it was originally. And then I'll probably wire wheel the back of it, clean some of that surface rust on. Maybe I'll hit it with some clear, just to keep it from, you know, rusting anymore. And that's where we are at the moment. This is the god awful expensive muffler. That's the insert, and then this is the spark arrestor piece. Between the two of them, that was 140 bucks. Ouch. On a bright note though, I did win an auction on eBay for a new speedometer cluster, and it came with the tack, and they look in pretty good shape, so that should bolt right up. That was one last piece I was missing other than the rear rack, so I've got the air cleaner housing on. I got the air cleaner bolted up. It sits right up in here. So that's good. I went around and got off any black overspray on the wires. I am going to rewrap. I'll clean this up a little bit, but I'm going to rewrap this with my wire loom tape. And a couple of these other spots. Like I said previously, I got to put in a plug for the rear turn signals. So that is on my to-do list. And then the voltage regulator, I just got it over here. It's pretty much done. It's ready to go back in. It just sits right down in here, the other way around. So I'll put that up on the table. We'll let that get a little bit warmer and dry. And that's it at the moment. So I'm gonna hit this, let this primer set for probably about a half hour, and then I'm gonna come back in with some black paint and then get that done, and then I'll cut a piece of that foam out to go in the back there, and we'll test that, and then let this dry some more. Like I said, I'm gonna hit it with some acetone because primer is not gonna stick to that stuff, and get this thing hopefully painted today and let it dry, and then I can get it mounted back on the bike. I'll have to let the bike run for quite a while to heat that up. So anyway, I'll be back. Okay, back. Been working on the exhaust. This is the second and final coat of the VHT Flameproof. It's still kind of wet. It'll dry more of a matte color, like kind of like what that is there versus that shiny there. And then I'll let that dry thoroughly before I even touch it and put it back on the bike. And here is the bottom of the seat. That came out pretty good. Pretty happy with that result. So I'm just letting that set up really good, and I got the back of the foam wet, so I gotta let that dry before I start messing with that foam. But this is the piece I'm gonna start working on next. This is the side of the exhaust. I do have new screws for these things here, but I just kind of wanted to show before I start working on this. I'm gonna hit it with 00 steel wool and WD-40, and let's see how that turns out. So, and then I'll just, like I said, I'll just rough up the back, get all that rust off there, and I don't know. I don't even know if I don't want to put primer or clear on it because it sits right on the exhaust, so it'll melt it right off. But just kind of wanted to show before and after. So I'll be back here shortly. All right, I'm back. I've been here all day actually, but I've got this piece hanging out in the garage. I just start and stop, but I got this piece cleaned up. It turned out pretty good, and there is what I was talking about. And what I ended up doing is I taped all around it. I painted it black, and then put about 3 coats on that, let it sit for a little bit, and then I just took lacquer thinner very carefully on a shop towel, wrapped around my finger, and wiped off all of the black paint. I pondered how to do that, all the black paint that are on the numbers, on the face of the numbers, and I thought about just letting it dry thoroughly and then trying to sand it off very carefully. But I thought, well, you know, what the hell, I'll try the lacquer thinner, and if that doesn't work, then I can just reshoot it, because I still had it all taped up, and then try the sanding method. But as you can see, that turned out pretty freaking amazing. So pretty happy with that. Cleaned up the backside as best I could. So that's done. I'll let that thoroughly set up overnight. Now here is what I did on the other part. Okay, there was that chunk of that seat that was missing, and I took some of this foam that I got, and it's about the right thickness, and trimmed off this, cut it around, and glued it back into place. I do have a rasp for foam. The rasp, as you can see at the very bottom edge down here, kind of chews it. It doesn't really shave it off. But, I mean, the cover's going to be over that, and it'll be kind of snug down there, so I'm not too worried about that. And that's that. So now I'm going to get my heat gun, because we have the new vinyl seat cover that does say Suzuki upside down. And I'm going to warm this thing up and wrap it around, and I'll let you know how that turns out here momentarily. Well, I got good news and I got bad news. Good news is the exhaust is back together, and I have it screwed on, and I do have new screws in here. and it looks pretty awesome. Pretty happy with that. Bad news is seat cover doesn't fit. So I reached out to the eBay seller and see if they can rectify this situation. It is definitely too short lengthwise and too short widthwise, because it won't go all the way front to back and it won't wrap underneath the seat, so that is a problem. But anyway, on the bright side, at least it'll give me about a week for the paint to cure. So that's where we are at the moment. I'll be back in a flash. So, but that piece turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with it. You know, I still may sand those numbers a little bit, but that's just the anal part of me. But other than that, it's ready to go. It's ready to be put back on the bike so I can get it fired up and running and heat this paint up. It sets in better once it's run for a while. So, but we're good to go at the moment. Be back shortly. All right, guys, back again. I take a little break here and there, work on a little bit of stuff, but I just kind of wanted to highlight, you know, some other progress I've been kind of making. As you see, I have the exhaust installed, and it turned out pretty sharp. I do need to get there is a spring that connects underneath the bottom here. There's a little hoop-de-hoop doob right here, and I'm guessing it goes either down to here. It would have to go down to here. There's nowhere else for it to latch to, but I got to get that. But I got the toolbox back in. That's all been painted and done. And let me grab a light. Oh, I got a light here somewhere. Where did I put my light at? No, here it is. I need to get one of those little ring cameras. Maybe it would help with some stuff. But anyway, so you can see I got the toolbox installed right there. Trying to get too much light into the camera there. Let's find a good happy medium here. So I do need to turn my foot pegs around. I was kind of curious of the orientation and I didn't really much pay attention when I took them off, but they need to be facing backwards. Simple loosening of the bolt. So, but I've got the foot pegs on, got all the tape removed, got the horn on, which I still need to touch that piece up, although you can't see it, it's hidden up under the tank. Got all the wires cleaned up. Excuse me, any overspray. I do have the electronics hooked back up. All that stuff is done. And I have the air filter installed. The carb is installed. I do have a new battery. I don't know if it's an exact fit, but I think it'll fit just fine. So I got to put that on. Then I will proceed to the front end. We have the forks here. This front end stuff's fairly easy. Remove the front wheel and take that off, and then loosen your triple tree, which I got to take the bars off anyway because I do have the new speedometer cluster coming, and lay those down. Loosen up that bolt right there. Loosen up them two bolts right there, and then pop them out. And I do have new fork seals, which I'll put those in. So that's where we are with that. But yeah, the exhaust turned out pretty good. Avoiding touching it much because I want to run it, get it back running again so I can let that heat up and burn that in. But the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about was this tire. Here is the stock tire right here, which is a 4.0018. Well, they don't make those. So I ended up getting these. Look at those monsters, man. These are an older style Kenda. It's a 100 by 100 by 18, and it's the K760 tire. So if you look at them, I'm sorry, I'm holding my camera, so you can definitely see the difference in these tires. For one, the stock tire is, let me get them side by side with each other. The stock tire is a little bit taller, and I was kind of worried that these tires were going to be too big, but actually they're a little bit smaller. So, but now let me slide this thing behind me here. We'll line them up tread to tread. But tread to tread wise, it looks like this thing may be a hair wider than the original tire. I'm trying to get a good image of that. So I really haven't verified fitment yet. I got to put the shocks back on temporarily. But as I said, the wheel bearings were bad. Here are the stock wheel bearings. There's two different sizes here. And if you, which I know you can't really tell, but there's a little bit of notchiness. I mean, they're not horrible. You know, and they definitely feel a little smoother out of the hub versus in the hub. I don't know if you can hear that, but anyway, this collar that sits down here, this thing right here, would not slide to the side enough for me to get a screwdriver or any other tool down in there to pop it out. So I got this toolkit from Pit Posse, and how it works is actually pretty simple. So if this is your hub, this one right here, which is is that the 12? Was that the, no. What now is this one here? 15 millimeter. See how it fits down there? You take that. So if that hub is in there, and we're pretending now because I've already done this, you'll put that through, and then you put this bar, this thing here, through the other side, and you'll kind of get it into this slot here, and you'll flip it over so it's resting on this piece right here, and give it a few solid whacks. And what that'll do is that'll seat this tip of it down into that part right there. And then, like I said, and don't be shy, give it a few good whacks, knock it in place, and then all you gotta do really is just lift the tire up. You know, you don't have to heat it, you don't have to do anything. Just, you know, while you got it up, then take a sledgehammer, and whack it. I'll be damned. It took me five minutes at the most to pop these bearings out. Super easy. Didn't have to heat anything. So I will try to remember to put a link in the description for this, because it's kind of got mixed reviews, but you know what? It worked great. I really had kind of lowered expectations for it. Figured it wouldn't work worth a crap, but it actually worked pretty good. So I am pretty stoked about that. And it don't take a lot to, you know, get me stoked about something. So, but anyway, so that's the rear tire. And like I said, I'm going to check fitment. I don't know. I may slap one of the shocks on tonight and just hold it up. I'm hoping to hell it's not too wide and rubs against the swing arm. But time will tell. So I'll be back here in a little bit. Gotta go make some dinner, and we're gonna mount the shock up there, and I'll see if I got a long screw that I can run through the back wheel and just kind of run it around, make sure it's not rubbing. So be back here shortly. All right, guys, see this here? This is the back hub. You see how it looks. I'm going to take this over to the prime buffing wheels that I have. So this is kind of a before picture, and this is the nut that sits on the end. I'm going to clean these up and see how they turn out. And I kind of mocked up the back wheel. Of course, this is all the way back, and I know it'll go forward some, but my main concern was it rubbing, and there is that bracket down inside there towards the front of the wheel, kind of where my finger is, you know. But it doesn't rub that either way, and I know it's going to go forward some, and then once I get it centered, yeah, it's kind of about centered there, so we shouldn't have any clearance issues. I was kind of concerned about that, but it looks pretty sweet on there, so I'm pretty happy about that. So, like I said, I got the bearings out, lickety split, and my new bearings did ship from, is it All Balls Racing? I think that's who I got them from. I forget, but I will update that. Whoever I got, yeah, All Balls Racing. because these are the fork seals. I got them from the same place. So anyway, I'll be back here in a little bit. I'm going to buff this up and see how it turns out and show you guys the results. All right, I'm back. See, in real time, that was actually only about 10 minutes. I wire wheeled this, or used my buffing pad on it, and did a coarse, and then did a fine. Okay. Medium, fine. I don't actually know what grade it is, but so that's it. Turns out pretty sweet looking. A lot cleaner than what it did. And the only thing I didn't remember is I didn't take a video of the orientation of this. Was it going this way, or was it going that way? $1 million question. Does it even matter? I don't know. But I also got brake pads. I'm going to put some pads on it. So that'll be my next step here. You know, yeah, I didn't really get underneath the side of it. Shame on me, but you don't really see it anyway, so guess it don't matter at the end of the day. So, and then there is a brake wear limit on this thing right there. I really don't know how I guess maybe when that pulls in, and it kind of moves towards that, it kind of shows you the wear. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I got brand new brakes anyway, so who cares? All right, so that's this, and then I'll definitely record the next thing that I do. So stay tuned. All right, howdy, folks. Back again. I can't really. Let me see if I can turn my screen around here. Make sure you can see what I'm seeing. Okay, I've got the other. Going to take the shock apart, and typically I don't really show a lot of things that I do for fear of, and I need to get over that stupid fear of being stupid and making a mistake, which I make mistakes all the time, so, but it's not so embarrassing when you're not recording your mistakes and, people don't see it. So anyway, all I'm going to do is I got these little OKX, they're little mini shock tools. They're great for motorcycles. And I need to take the thing apart so I can clean it up and get the rust off the inside, maybe throw some black paint on the spring itself, clean up this stuff. So here we go. Without further ado, you just do them evenly on each side and it'll pull it down. That'll drop down enough. I may have to reposition these things because we need to get this needs to drop down farther, and I don't know if these springs are going to compress down enough. Really hate using spring compressors. I don't think that is going to go down enough. I'm going to have to loosen these up and reposition them up a little bit higher. Sorry for the noise. Okay, so let's see if we can hook this up here. Problem is there's a little plastic doohickey boot cover in there, and see, if I put it there, this has to come down. So let's try putting it here. got this one here. Take this one off. And we'll put it right there. I don't like not being able to get these little hooks right here where I got my finger. Get it to hook over this spring, but there's that boot in there and it's not wanting to make a good contact or go down on the inside of it, I should say. Let me see if I can squeeze it in there. Maybe it'll go in once I put some pressure on it. Make sure it's straight. See if that's going to be enough. Doesn't look like it. These are a pain. Let's see if we can pry this up. Well, I can pry it up, but can't keep it up. Oh, jeez. Made it funny. Okay, let's see if we can tighten down a little bit more. Man, it just does not want to go down enough. That has got to go at the bottom. I ain't gonna do it. Let me try getting the screwdriver in there. There you go. Now we're going to reverse, maybe. Okay, we have success. Of course, it's going to be fun putting this back on, but here is the top cap. Here is the plastic shield that goes in the inside, and here is the spring. This is a bottom plate. Tell you what though, I think this is going to probably really need some new shocks. See how smooth that one goes? That's good. You want that. Here's the other one. Yeah, I cheated. I took it off. That way I knew what I was doing and I didn't look totally stupid. But this one, it's working better. It's not going up as quick and it's not going back on its own, so I may, let's see here. So they both stay down. I think I'll shoot some more oil down in this one. I use some cable lube. I really don't want to use WD-40. It's good for some things, but so I need to work on that. But so this is the other piece. I used my steel wool and WD-40 on it. Here's the top cap. So you can see this is the boot. It's just black plastic, so I'll just clean it up and then I'll probably shoot some black on it. This is the top shock housing, and the inside you can't even see, but I will clean that up. This is the shock itself, and you got, you know, corrosion, rust up in here, which it's really hard to get. I can't get all of it, but I get a lot of it, and I'll clean up the tube. That ought to clean up pretty nice, because you can see this tube, and this is one blemish right here that it's actually through the chrome. So, but it turned out pretty clean. A couple more spots I might get hit on it. And then we got the bottom down here. Clean this ring up, clean this up, paint them, and then very carefully, without trying to nick up the paint, put them back on. So that's where we are at the moment, and here are the original bearings, you know, one side and the other side, and we have our new bearings right here. So that will be going on tonight, and I need to clean the tire up. I got me a bucket of hot soapy water over there. Clean that tire up because I got my tire stuff, lube, whatever, all over it, putting it on. But it turned out pretty good. And oh, let's see here. It's not exactly light either, but here it is. So obviously I still need to take an SOS pad and clean this up, but I mean it'll turn out good. It ain't gonna look perfect. I mean, well, hell, it's a damn near 50-year-old bike. So and then I've got this is the other side. I'll clean off, I'll sand up inside here. It's just a little pitted, you know, a little scraped up, not too bad. So that is on my to-do list tonight. And I'm pretty sure I did show you guys already the housing. Let's come back down here. This was used my Primex wheel on it. I think I already covered that, so I'm repeating myself here, but I'm old, so that's okay. And I cleaned up the arm, and we have the new brakes to install, which is super easy to do. Just remember, if you do your brakes, put a little bit of grease on these pivot points, and that's that. So I'll be back here shortly. All right, guys, got the shocks apart. That was just a little bit ago. I cleaned them up, and this is the shock that you seen me take apart. I have a little bit of wear spot right there. But other than that, it turned out pretty good. Got some corrosion in there, right there. I don't know if it'll come out in the video or not. I'll have to check that out. But it came out pretty clean, as clean as it's going to get. So pretty happy with that. The top piece here cleaned up really nice. So pretty happy with that. So I'm on the fence with what I want to do with the springs. I can spray paint them black, that's not an issue. However, putting the spring compressors on there and nicking up the paint could be an issue. So, you know, I'm debating if I want to yank out the, and I really need to do a little panoramic shot of my garage here. I've got stuff everywhere, and I have to roll my stove out in order to powder coat. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with that. So, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is tap in these bearings. I don't think it really matters what side goes where, but I guess I'll do the letters side up. And we're going to see, I know with head bearings, stem bearings, you know, I always put those in the freezer and let them get cold, helps them shrink up a bit. So I'm doing that with these. I had them sitting in the freezer. This is the one side. So let's see if this works. And then what I'm going to do is I've got a driver here. Once I get it tapped into place and kind of get it straight, I got a driver I'll set down. And you always want to make sure that this rests on the outer ring and not on the inner ring. So let's see here. to make sure it's going in straight. Okay, so it's slowly getting there. Snapped right, popped right in. Okay, so it's nice and level. So let's give it a few love taps. And that looks pretty good. All right, so now let's flip it over and get this rod here. Okay, let me get the other one out of the freezer. Of course, the animals are in here and they hear a wrapper, so they instantly think it's a snack. Alright, so same thing on this side. Now, down in here is this piece here. And let me stick it right back down through there. And it doesn't look like that goes. It rides on the outside edge of it. And that was the problem to begin with. I couldn't knock it out with a screwdriver because it was hitting the I couldn't get it turned enough to the side. And you don't want to grease the bearing itself, just grease the edges of it, that way it helps it go in. Okay, so we got a little bit of grease on there. And I don't know if I even got a bearing tool big enough to go in there. Nope, I sure don't. So let me see if I got a socket that'll cover the edge of that. Put it back there. I don't even know where I got this bearing set kit. Somewhere on Amazon, I'm guessing. Let me borrow this here for a second. Go over to my ratchets, sockets. I'm looking over here, guys. I think that's one big enough here. Oh, that was so close. Not quite though. Okay, so I may have a dilemma here. Well, I got two sockets. And this one is a bit on the big side, which is a 36 millimeter. This is a 30. And it's just right, I mean, it's right on the edge. I'd rather go with a little bit too big, you know, than risk. Risk punching this inner bearing. problem I got is that socket hits the outer part. So, and this has got to be recessed down in here. There is a lip that it sits on. So let's see. I don't even know if this will fit down the center of that. Take my screwdriver. Make sure that, yep, that's still spinning. Just make sure that's good and seated down in there, which it is, and it is spinning great. So we have new rear wheel bearings installed. Isn't that exciting? I thought it was exciting. So that tool didn't help on that side, but it did help on the other side. So and I'm sure I got that on Amazon. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. I wish it did have sizes big enough to, because this socket that I use is a 30 millimeter, so I don't think these things are labeled as to what size they are, and they may be in inches. Yeah, this is 8 1 inch, 1 by 1 1.25 by 1 inch, which ain't quite big enough. And it might be fine for newer bikes, but I don't know. I tend to work on old crap. So anyway, we have bearings installed now. So now what we can do is lift this up, and you can see that I got it kind of cleaned up a little bit. Turned out good. It's not perfect by any stretch, but like I said, it's damn near 50 years old, so you know, as long as the bearings are feeling good, which they feel fine. It looks like I may need to tap this one down just a little bit more. So still feels like it's really kind of like got a little bit of a lip there. So let's see here. Let's get it back out. Was it that one? No, it must be that one. I want to make sure that's good and flush. Something's up on that edge a little bit. That feels pretty good. And like I said, what do I know? I'm no expert, but it feels good. So we can take the brake down here and set it down there, and that spins freely, and we'll be able to line up the axle rod that runs through there. So that feels pretty good. Pretty happy with how that turned out. And if anybody's got a 74 Suzuki, this is the part. It is All Balls Racing. And check this out. I got a sticker. Pretty cool, huh? So anyway, but it is part number 22-51197. I will try to remember to put a link in the description, so if anybody has one of these bikes, then they can get their bearings from there. So, I've used them before on other bikes that I've worked on, and they always work really good. Stem bearings and wheel bearings. So anyway, that's this part, and like I said, I'm on the fence about what I want to do with the springs, because if I want to get my stove out to powder coat them, then I'm gonna have to move a bunch of crap around, but now that I got this back wheel on, I can get the Suzuki off the stand and roll it around and kind of make a little more space. So I'm gonna wrap this piece of it up since everything has gone pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with that, and I'll be back here in a flash. Well guys, I'm back. Let's have a harebrained moment. I went ahead and mounted the tire on the bike, and it's like, geez, I kind of forgot the sprocket. So anyway, this is the hub assembly. I took my Primex wheel, wiped it off really good, and it looks super nice. So I will definitely put a link in my description to those because they work really good. There's a coarse, and then there's a kind of like medium fine, and they're really, really super nice. Let's get to see if we can get this thing back down, rest it down on here. So that's that. Let's give it a little tap, tap, tappy. Make sure it's seated in here. And I do believe that's in. So now here's the new, brand new JT sprocket. This is a, should be a 39 tooth. Let's count here.
So the coil goes down and there's a set of points inside here. Let's go do the card. Get that soap and get it cleaner while we're screwing around with this. And kind of not waste so much time or leave the car back.
Yes, it is. But it says C49 on it, so I was a bit concerned. And that fits just like that. Like a glove. And then your little doohickey things go on here. And I'll probably just tighten these down here in a minute. And you know what? Before I put these on, I'm gonna hit them on the wire wheel, so or the Primex wheels, and clean them up. So because you're going to be able to see this part of it right here. So I'm gonna clean these up and get these put on, and I'll be back. All right, so I just hit these with the Primex wheel, and you can see how shiny they turn out. So it'll look brand spanking new. And these are 12 millimeter. Well, my fat fingers can get them going.
I have a feeling we may not be able to separate that.
Let's try one of these. And maybe strip my fat fingers. I'm not gonna get these done on here. Nah, they're going down. I'm gonna say I didn't even do anything with these screws other than put them in the parts cleaner. The vibrator, I like to call it, the ultrasonic. I put everything in the ultrasonic. Except painted parts, if you don't want to lose your paint. They're going down awful tight.
And you have to go back that right out of there. we'll do our best to get it back today. Let's go see what it looks like. I'm going to drip that clean out of there, get the float off, get the float doesn't have any holes in it. Soak everything. Take the tin, tap it out, and sort of open the
And if you're wondering, yes, these screws go on kind of tight.
engine part of it.
Kind of makes it feel like they're stripping or cross threading, but they're not. And if I get some warm weather, I may take the hose out because it's froze solid and clean these rims again. Get spots that I missed.
I think it's right here. It kind of goes up into there.
Okay, those are good and tight. So then you want to bend your tabs back. Actually, let me get a smaller hammer.
Pick up that gasket that we don't have.
And we'll tap this back in to place. Good way to stab yourself. There you go, folks. Look at that. One sparkling new sprocket. Nice and flat on the top. Ain't she a beauty? And by the way, these are akin to K760 Trackmaster tires. These are 100 by 100 by 18. Since I've got this here, you can see the kind of the tread design. It's pretty freaking aggressive. Not quite exactly what I was expecting. I didn't look that big on the picture when I got them on Amazon, but I mean, they're definitely going to work for off-road. Curious to see how they're going to work on-road, but we are good to go there. So now I can go ahead and get the tire mounted on. So be back in a bit.